What's going on, Falcon fans? This is your boy Ricardo coming back at you with another video. So today, guys, we're talking quarterback. We all know the situation with our quarterback here. That's here. Michael Penix Jr. is recovering from a torn ACL. Timeline right now is around that training camp timeline. He said he's a little bit ahead of schedule, so just say July time frame. However, in the meantime, the Atlanta Falcons will have to bring in some additions to that quarterback room. We still on Easton Stick. I think he's a free agent, so I don't know if he's one of somebody they're gonna consider bringing back. But the big news of this weekend, we talked about earlier that it was mentioned that the Atlanta Falcons are planning to release Kirk Cousins. I think that's not earth-shattering news to us because we kind of figured that based off the restructure of his contract, pushing that money 67 million dollars to 2027, which Atlanta Falcons is not going to pay that bill. So the way the contract was restructured, it was kind of set up for him to be released. So they kind of confirmed that this weekend. Now it does make room for Kirk Cousins to be able to come back into the fold. We'll just have to see if that takes place. So we're going to talk about quarterbacks today. Also, before I get into that, I'm definitely going to talk about some staff additions that the Atlanta Falcons added. Kevin Stefanski still adding to his coaching staff. We'll give you some updates on that. Kind of interesting, who's not listed on here are some guys that is not coming back, right? So we'll talk about that as well. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to this channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come hear me talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, let's get into the staff additions first. So we talk about staff additions, right? So the Atlanta Falcons have added some more coaches to the staff. The first guy we're going to talk about is Ricky Manning. It's reported that he was hired today on the 10th. His previous role was the cornerback coach for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2024, and he's been hired as the Atlanta Falcon assistant defensive back / nickel coach. So kind of just moving over. He was a cornerback coach for the Vegas Raiders. He's moving over to be the assistant defensive back and nickels coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So just adding more bodies to this. And guess what? He did not come from Cleveland. So like I said, it's going to be a diverse coaching staff coming all over the NFL. His background after 7 seasons of a career as a defensive back in the NFL, Manning moved to a coaching role in the league assistant defensive back coach for the Seattle Seahawks. So this is where Pete Carroll, influence comes in. He was working for Pete Carroll. He became the assistant defensive back coach. He was defense assistant in New York Jets under Jeff Ulbrich. So that's the tie there. Always about some kind of ties, guys, right? So like I said, Ricky Manning coming in to be the assistant defensive back nickels coach. What's interesting, go ahead and talk about now. I don't see Jerry Gray's name on here, right? He was the defensive back coach. Of course, he was the assistant head coach as well. His name is not listed on this list, so I'm not sure if Jerry Gray is actually going to be coming back. So that would be something notable just to know about, just coaching staff. Jerry Gray's not coming back. So there you have it, guys. Ricky Manning is coming in as the assistant defensive back / nickels coach. The next guy is LaTroy Lewis. LaTroy Lewis, his previous role was a defensive line coach at the University of Toledo. What's going on, King Atlanta Support Warner? And his current role is going to be the Atlanta Falcons staff assistant defensive line coach. So he's going to be assisting Nate Ali on the assistant line. Hey, the more the merrier, right? His background after 4-season lead as a linebacker, Lewis joined the coaching rank in 2020 as a graduate assistant at Akron. After a few stops in South Alabama, Wake Forest, Michigan, in similar capacity, Lewis landed his first major position role with Toledo in 2025 as part of the Michigan national champion team and coaching staff in 2023. What's going on, T. Terry? So, like I said, LaTroy Lewis is actually going to be the assistant defensive line coach. So he's going out there with Nate Ali, right? Gotcha. Next guy is Barrett Rude. This is a guy who was here last year. Barrett Rude, his previous role was the inside linebacker coach up under Raheem Morris. His new role is going to be the same role. So he's going to continue being the inside linebacker coach for the Atlanta Falcons. So we don't have to, pretty much, elaborate on that because he was here last year. Now, this is interesting. The John Timu, Timu. His previous was the Atlanta Falcons defensive assistant. Now his current role is going to be retained, promoted Atlanta Falcons outside linebackers coach. So he's actually getting promoted, guys. He was the defensive assistant. Now he's getting promoted to the outside linebacker coach. So he has extensive background coming from the Chargers. Let's see, the University of Washington, Chicago Bears. So he has lots of backgrounds, right? So there you have it. There you have it. We got some people in here chatting us. So let's see what we got here. All right, what's going on? What's going on? My sisters bite me today. Okay. You said Indy whoop y'all this year? Not really. It was a close game. We had that game won. Is it cool? Penny does good. I hope he does good as well. So there you have it. All right, the next guys, is Matt Jones. Matt Jones. When I first seen Matt Jones, I was like, oh, they went and got the quarterback from the San Francisco 49ers. But no, his previous role, he was offensive assistant of the Tennessee Titans and assistant offensive line coach. Connection here is Bill Callahan. He's going to be joining the staff as the assistant offensive line coach. So now Atlanta Falcons got two offensive line coaches. They kept the one that was up under the previous offensive line coach, and now they're bringing in Matt Jones to help as well. Like I said, he reunites with Bill Callahan. So Bill Callahan brings somebody in that kind of understand, how he wanted to coach up his offensive line, and there you have it, guys. So everybody else we already talked about on the staff, but like I said, what's notable is Jerry Gray is not here, and Rukenberg. If you guys didn't know, he was our defensive pass game coordinator, but he just got requested an interview from the Cleveland Browns to be their defensive coordinator. So remember, he was requested to be the defense coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, didn't get the job. Now he's getting request from the Cleveland Browns. We know Cleveland lost their defensive coordinator in Jim Schwartz. So we don't know if Matt Rukenberg coming back. We'll just have to wait to see on that. And he was our defensive pass game coordinator. It's somebody that's very familiar with Jeff Albrecht, makes him feel comfortable. So there you have it. There you have it. So guys, there you go. That's the some staff addition updates. And as they make more hires, we'll definitely come in here and talk about it. Like I said, you can see Kevin Stefanski really putting his coaching staff together. It's not all coming from Cleveland, which is, you like that, right? You like, the diversity, some different minds coming in from different teams that's, was probably really good at their job with their previous locations, and you bring those guys in to compare with some of your other guys on the coaching staff. So you like to see that. So there you have it, your staff additions. Now let's get into a quarterback, because that's really what we came here to talk about today, right? So like I said, when we talk about quarterbacks for the Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins is going to be out the door. They do have potential to bring him back. Now, if they make a decision to say, Kirk, we want you here, we want to bring you back on a lower deal, right? Then he's going to say, well, you got to guarantee me I'm going to be the starter, right? Or at least compete for the starting job. And if that's the case, they might do that, right? So we won't know. So I never say never. I doubt that's going to be the case, but I never say never. So that's why I had to just mention that about Kirk Cousins. But first thing Atlanta Falcons got to do is look in the free agents market for a quarterback, right? So when they're looking at free agents for 2026 quarterback class, um, there's a lot of quarterbacks on this list, but you got to be really selective and make sure when you picking these guys, it's something that you want to really consider, right? So the first guy is Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones is coming off for Achilles injury, but he really showed improvement in Indy. That's why I believe Indianapolis is going to keep him there with the Colts, but he is a free agent, so it would definitely interest to see what happened with Daniel Jones. Aaron Rodgers is next. Of course, he would be a short term option for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's going on 42 years old. Do they want to bring him in? Um, but and see if they want to kick that can down the road, right? Next guy is Russell Wilson. He's a very experienced quarterback, likely to draw interest from somebody, definitely 100%. But it would be a role where he know he's coming in to be the backup, and he has that clear understanding that's what he's coming in to be. Marcus Mariota, we're gonna pass on that. Solid option with high, he's a good bridge starter quarterback, but the way he left Atlanta, I would not recommend him coming back. All right, let's get some of the younger guys. Trey Lance. Younger option with potential serving as a backup. He currently serves on the Justin Fields right now. I mean Justin Herbert. Sorry about that. So Trey Lance, I think he's in the right spot. To be honest with you, because I think Jim Harbaugh is the perfect quarterback coach for him to get him where he needs to be. So Trey Lance there. Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, we know his experience. Um, a good backup quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is the ultimate backup quarterback. He comes in and does his job well. Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is a young quarterback with starting experience, right? Do you want to go down that train? You try to develop a young quarterback. He could have a Sam Darnold, resurgence. He could, right? He came from the Jets. Never know, right? He was uber talented, coming out of college, but it just never panned out. And like I said, man, it's hard to try to do something at the New York Jets organization. So Zach Wilson is intriguing for a backup spot here. Joe Flacco, of course, we know the ties with him and Kevin Stefanski, so I could definitely see a guy like Joe Flacco coming in to be the quarterback bridge for Michael Penix Jr. Kenny Pickett, not sure that do Kevin Stefanski want to go back down there. He did have his eyes on him, last year. Of course, they traded him away, but he's a little bit on the younger side. He was in the same draft with Desmond Ritter, right? So you look at a guy, he's not that old. Do you want to bring in a Kenny Pickett to be your backup, right? Some other guys that just think about Case Keenum, Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell, and Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley has experience with Kevin Stefanski as well. So there you have it, guys. Those are your free agent quarterbacks that the Atlanta Falcons could target. I ain't picking one because I don't know where their mindset is. If you twist my arms and make me pick, I'm probably gonna go. Believe it or not, Joe Flacco would be first. Just because of experience, I know he knows the offense. Maybe Russell Wilson. It depends. And then I think Zach Wilson will be my third, right? When I'm looking at it. Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, and then Zach Wilson. Those would be my guys that I would think about bringing in. Hey, we'll see what happens with it. So that's definitely your free agents list. It's not flashy. It's not somebody's going to go out and jump over hills for these free agents on the quarterback market. But if you're looking for a backup quarterback, these guys are perfect. They all got starting experience. They could come in and field games for you to help you win games. So it just depends on what the Atlanta Falcons brass decide to do Do they want to go young? Do they want to go old? Do they want to go experienced? Do they want to go to a true bridge like type quarterback? Because you bring in a guy like Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett, um, those guys, or Trey Lance, those guys are still young and, still trying to find themselves in the NFL. So that's definitely something you can talk about. Kyle Trask, I don't know if he's a free agent or not. He might still be up on the contract, but that's a good idea. Kyle Trask is definitely one. Um, I think he is on the roster already. That's why he's not listed on this list. But and because really the guy I probably would want more than anything is Jacoby Brissett or Jameis Winston, but both of those guys are up on the contract. So that's why I didn't mention either one of those guys. But these are free agents. These guys are not tied to any team. They can actually be signed, right away next month once the free agent period opens up. So there you have it. If I had to bet, I probably would bet Joe Flacco, to be honest with you, just because he has the familiarity with Kevin Stefanski, and he's reliable. He's gonna run your offense the way you want to run it. And like I said, it's backup. It's not starting. Somebody come in and be backup. I think he can teach Michael Penix a lot how to be a professional who's been doing it a long time. Right, the same draft class as Matt Ryan, by the way. So that would be interesting to see. How that look. We got the president of football. Is now be his boss, and he got drafted in the same draft class. That'd be interesting to see. So, but that's probably who I'm thinking about. They're going to bring in. I know everybody don't want to hear that, but it's a backup quarterback, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody that's reliable that you can come in. A guy that Kevin Stefanski actually went to the playoffs with, and you saw what he was able to do with the Cincinnati Bengals this year. In spurts, right? It wasn't something that he was able to sustain, but over, a couple of games, and that's what you're hoping. Michael Penix get hurt a couple of games, something like that. You come in and fill in that role. But in this particular moment, you want him to just come in and be ready to take snaps and stuff until Michael Penix is ready to go throughout the season. So if they do bring in a guy like Joe Flacco, expect them to bring in another guy because you want to kind of save Joe Flacco's arm because he is old. So there you have it. All right. Let's go to the next category. Those are the free agents. Let me know from the free agent list that I called out who would you pick. And if you need to recap real quick before we go to the next, it'd be Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tyrod Taylor, Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Case Keenum, Gardner Minshew, Sam Howell, and Tyler Hunt. That's your list, guys, of free agents. All right, let's get into the next topic, which would be the quarterback trade market. Right, so just say the Atlanta Falcons is not comfortable with any of those guys I just talked about, and they potentially might want to look at the trade market. Right, they're like, you know what? Now let's just go on the trade market. We got some quality guys that that's going to be up for trade this year. We might want to go down that road, right? So we'll have to see. Let's see here what your comment is. Draft wise, who do you think will be heavy on the defense or offense? I'll talk about that in just a minute, man. What do you think Falcons will go with? Like I said, I think they're going with Joe Flacco. To be honest with you. So offense or defense, man, that's a great question. I'm gonna hold and wait and see what they do in free agency, right? Because you go out and get proven players in free agency, to help build up your depth. So potentially, what they decide to do in free agency kind of give me an idea where they would go in their draft. However, Ian Cunningham did say best player available, so they could go any way, right? Based off their draft board for offensive guys there, and he's the highest rated guy on the board. They're gonna go best player available, and for defensive guy there, it'd be the same. So that's the way you gotta look at it. Remember, Atlanta Falcons do not have a first round pick, so they're gonna pick up in the second round So you definitely want to get the best player available, especially if you address some of your crucial needs in free agency. So that's where I'm leaning right now. I'm just going to wait and see what they do in free agency before we kind of get an idea where they're going to go for in the draft. They only got 5 picks, so they got to be really smart about those picks and put the right pieces together for this team. So let's go to the trade market for quarterbacks. The first guy I'm gonna talk about is Kyler Murray, right? Um, you know, this guy was drafted number 1 overall back in the day. Um, of course, his statue is always, I mean, his stature, I said statue. His stature is always going to be in question because he's a smaller quarterback. People say he's the same size Russell Wilson. I think he's a little bit shorter than that, but the guy is electric with his feet, right? He has a outstanding arm, right? But that price tag, which if they cut him, you can actually bring him in for a cheap salary because the Arizona Cardinals probably going to pay most of that. So now, if they want to trade him, that'd be a whole different scenario. I don't think the Atlanta Falcons would consider trading for Kyler Murray because of that price tag, but maybe in the cut situation, I could see them taking a flyer on him. Like he's uber athletic. He has a rocket arm. I just don't know the development piece. And honestly, quarterback with his, like I said, with his stature, do you really think he could be successful? Right. Only person I think maybe smaller than him is a guy like Doug Flutie, who had some success, right? Then you look at Drew Brees and you look at Russell Wilson; those guys was really really good as well. So but he's more explosive than all those guys I mentioned, right? Even Doug Flutie. So Kyler Murray is really really something that the Atlanta Falcons will really have to consider if they want to go down that route, and they will have to tailor offense to the Kyler Murray strengths if they want to go down that road. So he would be my first target. My next target is Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa is another trade target. Either way, I think he's going to get cut if you don't trade for him. But we know Tua is another lefty. That'd be lefty guy in the Falcons quarterback room. Along with Michael Penix Jr. My hesitation with Tua is just simply his health, man. You talking about Michael Penix, um, health history, but Tua Tagovailoa came in the NFL injured, and then to top that off, he's had a series of concussions where he went to rigor mortis with his body and all kind of stuff like that. So I would really be hesitant to bring Tua in unless you 100% going to be able to protect the young man. But he's really accurate as quarterback. Don't think his arm is that strong. And his career has been up and down. A lot has to do with injury. You put great weapons around him, like he had with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He could definitely do some good things. But um, towards the end of this season, you start to see him make a lot of mistakes. So I don't know if that's something Atlanta Falcons would have considered. Um, he's in the Justin Herbert draft. So we'll just have to see what Tua Tagovailoa what he's going to get. Once again, if they cut him, you can bring him in for a cheaper dollar. Take your flyer. I guess consider if you want to go down that route, but that's something they could kind of consider when you're talking about that. So there you go. Tua Tagovailoa is the other guy. The next guy would be Malik Willis, right? We saw Malik Willis. He was also in that Desmond Ridder draft. He got drafted. All these guys thought they was gonna get drafted early. They all failed, right? A lot. Kenny Pickett was the only one picked in the first round that year, and then Desmond Ridder was the second, but he was picked in the third round. So, all right, it was interesting to watch that quarterback class. But Malik Willis was right after Desmond Ridder, and his problem was completely development. Right, he played in a high school type offense when he was at the University of Liberty, so he really didn't have a concept of NFL, quarterback play. But getting around, Matt LaFleur, over there in Green Bay, you have seen that he has developed a lot, and he really played well in the games that he played for the Green Bay Packers. And a lot of people thinking he's going to fight Hackett over to the Miami Dolphins. Since they're getting away, doing away with Tua. So um, Malik Willis is somebody that you really could do. Um, we just have to see, if he's one of the guys that somebody could consider Malik Willis. So athletic, like I said, he has developed a lot. If you watch his games he played this year for the Green Bay Packers, you will really be impressed. So he showed some talent. You put good enough weapons around him, he probably can do some good things. So there you have it. Those quarterbacks, um, Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, and Malik Willis. This comment right here. Comment said, "How bad exactly would losing James Pierce be for the Falcons?" It won't be as bad as people think, right? Because he had 10.5 sacks, yes, but if you take away those 10.5, that still put the Atlanta Falcons at what's that 40, 46 sacks for the season. That's a lot of sacks. Remember, Atlanta Falcons only had 21 sacks 2 years ago. Last year they had 31, but that's a big increase. So taking him off would really hurt the Atlanta Falcons because of his potential that he had. And he was probably going to even get better this year. But you got to remember Zach Harrison is coming back. He led the team in sacks before he went down, so he's going to be coming back. You expect to see some improvement for him as well. We expect to see more improvement from Jalen Walker as well. Don't forget about Brandon Trice, who's never took a game snap aside for preseason. He's coming back as well, and now we would have to see how the Atlanta Falcons pivot with the James Pierce Jr. news to see what they do in the free agency market, right? So that's some of the stuff we got to consider, but I don't think they're going to take a step back. I think the main thing for the Falcons need to do is stick to the vision, like I said yesterday, and build up the trenches because you want to be able to stop the run first. If you can't stop the run, getting out to the passer would not matter anyway. So don't pivot too much. Stick to the plan and go from there. Unpopular opinion, I think Kenny Pickett has the most upside. And there you go. Like I said, depends on. If you heard what I mentioned about all those free agent guys, if you pick the younger free agents, like a Zach Wilson, like a Kenny Pickett, right, like a Trey Lance, those guys, they could have those resurgence like we've seen for Sam Darnold, right? Put him in the right offense and things like that. I'm not, discounting what you're saying about Pickett because he's definitely could be somebody that could have an uptick. So you're 100% correct on that, bringing a guy like Pickett in. But we don't know and this is a guy that Kevin Stefanski had in the organization last year. So he spent a lot of time learning the offense, so he knows it. So definitely could be somebody they could consider bringing in, to even compete with Michael Penix Jr. I think Michael Penix Jr. has the nod to be the guy once he's 100% ready. But you want to bring in competition. You want to bring competition with every position that you have. That's how you create depth. That's how you create iron sharpening iron. So there you have it. Yeah. So Kenny Pickett would not be bad. Um, what if Matt Ryan brings back Ritter? That ain't gonna happen. See, you joking. You joking too, Jerry. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. He said, I know that James Pierce Jr. broke up with his ex-girlfriend in September. That when he started getting all of those sacks. He was a sack every week. He was mad, man. He was mad. Then he was like, I need my baby back. And then I'm going to go crazy about it. I guess that's what happened. I need my baby back. I'm going to get her. He went crazy. All right. Hey, guys, some other guys that we can talk about that could be potential that if you want to try to pull these guys off or teams, right? And like I said, because they are backups right now. Will Levis, you guys remember Will Levis went in the second round to the Tennessee Titans. They drafted Cam Cam this year. So, Will Levis is the odd man out. So it's somebody you can get in that played bad, right? He did not have a good start to his career so far, like I said, but you never know. Could be coaching. We'll see if they're gonna. They did fire the coach, so for Tennessee, so it could have been coaching, man. Definitely could be. So Will Levis, Jalen Milroe, right, guy out of Alabama. He's the third string quarterback right now behind Sam Darnold and Drew Lock. So he definitely could um, be a draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons, giving up a late round draft pick for that because he's already third string, right? And we know he's uber athletic, need developing 100%. So Jalen Milroe, Tanner McKee out of Philadelphia, he's the backup quarterback, high Roseman roster, always, know how to draft. So that's somebody to consider. And then the Taggett, the guy out of Chicago as well, the backup quarterback to Caleb Williams. So that's another guy that they could consider, coming in and probably, trading for or something like that, right? We know Ian Cunningham has familiarity with him, so that's somebody else they can bring in. Is a big guy who can run, mobile and things like that. So there you have it. Those are trade targets. If the Atlanta Falcons had more draft capital, I could see go ahead and making a trade. But man, they slim pickings in the draft. They need all those draft picks. So unless they're going to accumulate more draft picks, maybe they could do that. It's gonna be interesting. Ian Cunningham said he remembered his first year in Chicago. They had 5 picks and they ended up with 10. Now that's some maneuvering around around things. I see here that Mark mentioned Anthony Richardson. He's on that list as well. You're correct, Anthony Richardson. Like I said, I pretty much believe that they're going to bring back Daniel Jones. So Anthony Richardson still going to be the odd man out. That coaching staff has not changed, and whatever they thought about Anthony Richardson before, probably much of the same. So yeah, his upside is his ceiling could be really high, but we just haven't seen nothing so far in the NFL. So, and then character comes into play, quit on his team and things like that. You have to think about those kind of things. So that's one thing. So, and then last but not least, David Mills of the Houston Texans. When CJ Stroud was out, he came in, played really well, and CJ Stroud could be on the short leash. So bringing in Davis Mills, keeping Davis Mills for them probably is a high priority for those guys because he has played well. So there you have it. Those are trade targets they can potentially look at. And Atlanta Falcons need to do their due diligence and go through all those, the free agents and then the trade targets as well. Those guys are all veteran quarterbacks that the Atlanta Falcons could definitely, consider looking at. So there you have it. Those are your trade targets at the quarterback position. That hopefully they're going through all these conversations as we're talking about it right now, and on YouTube. So let's go to a couple more guys that Spencer Rattler, from New Orleans Aints. Derek Carr, he's retired, and there you have it, guys. There you have it. Those are your guys you could actually trade for that's on current rosters. And so Atlanta Falcons have a lot of options. With that being said, they have a lot of options to consider, right? So we got an email here. A text here. It says, Eagle fans know Tanner McKee ability. He's an NFL best kept secret. That's one. Howard Roseman is the man, dog. He's the man. He sure is. It says, if the Rams cut the mailman, would you bring him in as maybe a third quarterback? I don't know, man, because Stetson Bennett has had a lot of issues. So sure. I think he's been coached well up under Sean McVay. So you never know. But that guy there. What more can we say about Stetson Bennett, man? All right, let's go to the last category here. and that is the 2026 draft class. So the Atlanta Falcons decided to do what the old regime did and double down on quarterbacks in the draft, and test your water there. Somebody that they could develop, they could do that. Now, Michael Penix going into his third season, so he's definitely not a rookie anymore. He hasn't played with 14 games in this league, but he's definitely not a rookie. So you can see Atlanta Falcons going into the draft and bringing in a guy that they could groom up to play behind Michael Penix Jr. Right. So when you look at the guys, I just went to the top 10 right now as projected. Time's going to change because I remember a guy who was projected to be 1 or 2, and he got drafted in the 5th round. So what do I know about draft ratings and stuff like that, right? Because that just baffles me that a guy was rated that high and then dropped to the 5th round, right? Somebody rated him that high, so just don't get it. All right, the first guy is, of course, we know Fernando Mendoza, national champion. Did his thing at the University of Indiana. Guy's 225 pounds, 6'5", prototypical quarterback. I think he will go number 1 to the Las Vegas Raiders. So, Atlanta Falcons definitely would not have an opportunity to draft him. The next guy on the list is Ty Simpson, Alabama's quarterback. 6'2", 208 pounds, quarterback. I thought he started his season off outstanding, then kind of tapered off towards the end. That's why you see the Alabama Crimson Tide started to falter down the end. Of course, quarterback play. What's interesting about Alabama, they got Caleb DeBoer there, and they got Grubbs there. So it's Michael Penix, head coach, and offensive coordinator from the University of Washington. And man, it would be nice to bring those guys in to help, kind of tailor some offense for Michael Penix Jr. because we know what he was able to do at the University of Washington up under that scheme. So the next quarterback is Garrett Nussmeier, right? Now this guy was rated really high last year, right? And then this year he came back and with the whole head coach change and thing like this, he just fell off, man. Some people still believe he has NFL potential there, but we just don't know because we haven't seen it in a while. So Garrett Nussmeier, but he is listed as the third quarterback on the right now in the rankings, right? So we'll have to see what they decide to do with, if somebody's going to take a flyer on him in the 1st round or wait to the 2nd round. Next is Carson Beck. We already know who he is. He screwed us out our season before last. Um, he just did not turn the ball over too many times. His last season in Georgia, and then he lost the game in the University of Miami, turned the ball over. So there you have it. This guy here is fascinating. Trinidad Chambliss, right? The way he was able to do in college this past season was awesome. He tried to go back to college, but his eligibility was gone, so he had to go ahead and put himself in draft. But he's listed as the 5th quarterback, and I could see him going on day 2 sometime, 2nd or 3rd round, maybe to a team that have time to develop a quarterback. Um, Next, you got Cade Klubnik, of course, out of Clemson. You know, Dabo Swinney, he does do a good job getting these quarterbacks ready to play. Club Klubnik he's a baller, 100%, but I don't know if he have all the traits for to be that guy. But you can bring him in, and there'll be another development quarterback. Next is Drew Aller from from Penn State, right? Um, Big quarterback, 6'5", 235, has a rocket arm, right? All the traits that you want to go. This is like the Anthony Richardson comp, right? You probably don't run as fast as Anthony Richardson, but a big body quarterback that can throw all over the field. That's what you're getting out of Drew Aller. Somebody that the Atlanta Falcons could definitely take a late round pick on if he's still there on the board. My last three guys is um, Taylor Green. Right, this guy went down to the Senior Bowl. Matter of fact, any quarterback went to the Senior Bowl didn't really have a really nice showing down there. But Taylor Green is a guy from Arkansas, 6'6", big quarterback, can run with the ball. Um, Definitely developmental guy that can come in. I could see him being somebody they want to groom over time, right? Get him up on it, in the organization and see what he's all about. Um, Baylor's quarterback, Sawyer Robertson, right? Another guy, 6'4", 220, 221. Um, don't know a whole lot about him. So we'll have to see what he can bring to the table. And last but not least, Miller Moss from the University of Louisville, right? So 6'2", 210-pound quarterback. Right, those are the top 10 draftees, right? Based off, of course, that's draft buzz, so that's their ranking. Other people have different rankings and things like that where they, rate guys. You can go look at NFL Network with Daniel Jeremiah, um, Charles Davis, all those guys, Berkey Brooks. I say Berkey Brooks. All those guys, they have their own rankings as well for these guys. So, we get in draft season. We'll definitely get more into these guys and other draftees as well. We'll talk about all those. But there you have it, guys. Those are the three avenues that the Atlanta Falcons could, try to bring in a quarterback to fix this Atlanta Falcon quarterback solution, all in the mindset thinking that Michael Penix is going to be healthy, be ready to go, and this guy is coming in to, be a camp arm, be a great backup for Michael Penix Jr. and if he had to fill in, if Michael Penix was to go down, he could be reliable, and the Atlanta Falcons won't miss the beat. Those are the things that the Atlanta Falcons could consider. So those are the three avenues: free agency, draft trades. Quarterback trades or the draft class. You can go either route there, and we'll see what they decide to do. Right, we will get more inclination next month. Like I said, free agency. I think even if they do was to go get somebody in the draft, I think they're still going to add another free agent quarterback here. You know, so there you have it. Right, and now you think about it like this as well, right? Um, Once you do get out Kirk Cousins, you're not allocating all your money into the quarterback position like they had before. They had allocated 180 million plus an eighth overall pick in the quarterback position. That's bad asset management, and that's what the Atlanta Falcons had gotten themselves into. Right? They'll be able to rectify that once they cut Kirk Cousins. Um, won't recoup a lot because, like I said, he restructured all his money to next year, which is great. Now if they do a post June 1 cut, they can spread that hit that cap number over 2 seasons to help them with their cap space. So that's what we like to hear from the new capologist guys trying to figure out a way to build this team utilizing the salary cap. Um, you said if the Rams cut, you said I just read. In the draft, I like big quarterback out of Notre Dame. I forgot his name. I didn't even go that far down. I know you're talking about though. I only got the top 10, but I do know you're talking about. I want this Haynes King from Georgia Tech. If he's going to be in the draft as well. That guy had no arm, but he played with heart, man. He reminded me of Tim Tebow a little bit, just running all down the people's throat. So um, there you have it, guys. There you have it, man. Quick podcast today. Well, it really wasn't that quick, but those the avenues Atlanta Falcons go down, right? Kirk Cousins probably is out. You know, he had his ups and down moments and things like that, but it just wasn't good enough. They got Michael Penix Jr., upcoming young quarterback that they need to put all, they need to give him an opportunity. I'm not saying they put all into it because they didn't draft him. So, but Give him all the resources that he need. Once he comes back from rehab, the rehab is part of on him. It's something he got to get in. But once he gets back, set him up for success, man. That's what the bottom line, what they need to be doing. So there you have it, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. Let me know about the new staff additions and which route you would take and which quarterback would you take based off these three different scenarios. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.